earphones. Oh my God. Hello everyone and welcome from me and from my lame horse, the InfluEnzo. Today is a really exciting day. There's quite a lot to get through, but the first thing is that I've got my local MOT centre to agree to do a hydrocarbons test on the expansion tank. So that's going to be able to tell me if there's any gases escaping and leaking through the head gasket from one of the cylinders into the coolant. So it kind of gives us an idea initially of how severe the problem could be. A couple of things have changed that are making me think. I wouldn't call it hope so much, but two things. First of all, I realised that when I did the water pump, I didn't drain the whole system. I just drained what I needed to drain, and then I topped it back up, and I used Prestone. Now, this is guaranteed to mix with any other coolants, but obviously whatever was in there was not Prestone, it was something else. So I think it was standard, is it green liquid that these take? I can't remember, a glycol based one anyway. And the fact that I haven't got like a uniform coolant in the whole system and that it hasn't been flushed gives me pause for thought. The other thing is that I've had a look in the expansion tank once the car's cooled down, expecting to see oil congealing and floating on the surface, and actually it looks, what's there looks pretty clean. And there isn't any oil sort of floating on the surface. There's something there, but I've sort of taken it out and had a look, and it's powdery, it's not oily, and it just doesn't look like oil. You'll all have noticed that I'm wearing the lucky PJs again today, and I think these were the ones that I was wearing when I actually originally bid on the car. I will of course be keeping these on for the MOT place because they got to realise what a stylish man I am. Big thank you to all the support that you guys have shown me while all this is happening. I've had loads of offers of people to use their garages if I need to. Some of the t-shirt designs and logos, which we will come on to in a minute. And generally just the support, which is really appreciated. One thing just wanted to make clear, a lot of you mentioned the oil cooler. On these cars, the oil cooler is just cooled by air going through, which comes through the scoop on this side. It's not actually mixing, there's no oil and there's no water going into the oil cooler. So although that's a good shout, that's not what is happening in this case. Well, all of a sudden, after months of unbelievable sunshine, we have something which is more expected in terms of the British summer. I hope this doesn't carry on too much longer because it really does make a big difference. I'm still not using the roof because it's just so much nicer to drive this without it. So while we're on the way to the garage, the MOT centre, I just wanted to show you a few of the designs that people have sent through. In the end, I don't think I am going to do the t-shirts. I don't particularly like asking for money and stuff. I'm not poor. I'm not rich, but I'm not poor, and I think I can handle this. So I don't think I'm going to do it, but I love the designs that you guys sent me. So first of all, there was Paolo, who I think is probably Italian, probably a compatriot, who sent me some really fun sort of designs, including one with a face mask and so on. Then Steve, obviously is a professional graphic designer, or he must be, because the stuff he sent me definitely looks amazing. I think he's going to send me some other renders that he's working on. I'll show you those in another episode, and I'll put a link to his stuff because it is really good. And then there is Martin. I think his logos are probably particularly useful or particularly usable if they were to go on a t-shirt. George sent me some stuff which I love the cheeky sense of fun on it. It's quite appropriate for the InfluEnzo really. These ones sent in by Joel. Well, I love the fact that he put in traumatic bonding, which I've become really fond of with this car. I think it's just such a good way of describing it and why I love it so much. Love the lame horse reference on this one from Tom. And then lastly, Nick sent me this, which I think is, well, it's a proper sort of classy design really. And you know, that would be nice. There would be some nice t-shirts. Right, here we are. Well, it's really starting to look like this is one horse that has 9 lives. The garage I went to is JS Motors in Kidlington, where I get my other cars, where I've had other cars MOT'd, and I really have to thank the guys there because they let me use the facilities for half an hour, the gas analyzer, and also they had a chemical test for the block to see if there was something going on with the gasket. And two things became apparent. There's nothing coming through to the expansion tank from the cylinders, so that's not what is happening. And also when we did the chemical test as well, that didn't change colour, so that is really good news. The other thing is, when we were there, we were sort of checking it, and the mechanics there thought that the gloop that is there is that gloop, and it does initially look like oil, doesn't actually feel like oil, and it doesn't smell like oil. So what we are starting to think is that perhaps when I boiled it over, it sort of loosened all the crud that was in the system, and that's now reacted with the coolant and everything else, and that is what's causing it. We're not 100% on that yet, but it's really starting to look like I've probably got away with it. They even gave me a bit of coolant flush. So I'm gonna put that in the system, and then tomorrow or Monday, I'm gonna flush the whole thing out and then try again. As I said, a horse with 9 lives. I've warmed it up, I put the engine flash in, took it for a drive. Thermostat should be open now. My idea, probably won't work, is that having it on a slope, I've emptied the expansion tank already, and if I start draining from this side, I'm hoping everything will come out in one go. Chances of that? None. The coolant looks really quite clean. There is looks like a tiny bit of oil reflected in the surface, but I think that's just from the containers that I've been using, because they've been used to drain oil before, and although I clean them, they're never completely clean. But it looks really good on the whole, so I'll keep flushing it through. Well, that was a thoroughly unpleasant job. I got covered in coolant, was under the car. It's really hard car to drain this. It was a real pain, but yeah, but it's done. And what a difference a day makes. Or, I mean, if I think back to this time last week, I really thought that I was in for some really major work in the engine, and one of the most upsetting things about it was that I probably wasn't going to be able to use the car over the summer. So it's just fantastic news, and well, it's great, but I really want to emphasise this. I've had enough heart attacks, thank you very much, InfluEnzo, so I'm really glad everything seems to be turning out all right, but no more scares for a while, please. I can't bear it. So the next thing we're going to do in this video, which I'm really excited about, is I want to find the source of that whistling, and I've bought something which is just going to be great. So you have it's basically an electronic car stethoscope. So you have a pair of earphones, and then you have 6 separate microphones which are embedded in these clips, which are normally battery clips, and then a control panel. Each microphone is numbered and coloured, and as you're driving along, you place the microphones in different parts of the car. As you're driving along, you switch from one microphone to the next, and essentially it helps you get to the bit where the noise is coming from. This is where I've positioned them. So one there to the right of the airbox, one by the carbs in case it's coming there, one there close to the drive shaft and exhaust, one up that side, and one down there. Right, car is warmed up, and I'm ready. Earphones and my little machine. So let's find out where that noise is coming from. Microphones in a few different places, and it really seems like it's coming out of the exhaust itself, so that's good because I want to rebuild that anyway, as we've discussed, and maybe 2 birds 1 stone, get rid of the whistling noise and get much nicer Ferrari noise. So brilliant. Apologies, I've had to dub the next 20 seconds or so because there was radio playing in the background and YouTube came up with a copyright notice. At this stage, I finally managed to try and get the exhaust off, to modify it for better sound and to get rid of that whistling noise, which was brilliant, except it proved to be incredibly difficult to do. This is an older exhaust with a really long link pipe, which goes through very close to the drive shaft and the lower wishbone, and it just wasn't coming out. So at this stage, I disconnected the anti-roll bar and the lower wishbone and was grappling to try and remove it. Right, I'm officially completely off. I've disconnected the lower wishbone, the anti-roll bar, disconnected the shock absorber, compressed the spring on the shock absorber, and still the exhaust doesn't come out. And it's because if it was on a proper lift, you can swing the exhaust through 90 degrees and just about wiggle it out, but if you're on jacks like this, unless you've got something massively high, it's just not going to happen. And so some of you probably be horrified by this, but I'm going to cut the end of the link pipe off and just get something to connect it, so also that if I ever need to take it off again, it will be a lot easier, because this has just been a complete nightmare. Whew. First bit cut with the angle grinder, and then the rest of it by hand in that confined space. It was hard work, but here is this horrible piece of crap, and there's some stuff loose in there, so that could definitely explain the whistling noise. And next thing is cut into it, see what we can do to improve it. Doing the exhaust has turned out to be more complicated than I expected, but where we are now is I've cut the exhaust open and you can see that it's a double skinned affair, so it's quite a complicated exhaust and quite difficult to weld back up properly. So I've decided that the best way is to get a new one. I went to a place locally where they do bespoke exhausts and really like the guys there, but there's a 6-week waiting list and I just can't wait that long to get a new exhaust. So I've got this one, and it should definitely be louder and sound better than what I've had before, so that will be amazing. Can't wait for that to arrive. It should be here tomorrow possibly, but not in time for this video. So as a little compensation, I don't know if it is a compensation or not, but I thought I'd try and start the car without a silencer on, so basically open pipes, and we'll hear what it sounds like. I can't leave it running for long because my neighbours won't be very happy, but I think the opportunity is there, might as well just try it. I think it's going to be horrifically loud and probably won't actually sound that nice, but you never know. It's something to try, I think, at least once. Oh my god, that is unbelievable. Let's try it again. That's enough. That's just terrifying, and my neighbours will absolutely hate me. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Keep an eye out for the next episode when I have the when I have the new exhaust on.